afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today as we celebrate the amazing life of Logan Bailey Lowrey. I want to start by thanking Alex Teffer and Logan's Shawnee Mission East Jazz and Pep Band families for providing music at the luncheon we just attended and today's celebration of life. Alex told me as soon as they found out about Logan's death, everybody started texting and calling him, wanting to know what they were going to do for Logan. And this is all them. I had nothing. I said, whatever you want to do. So, guys, this is not the way I was supposed to start this. I was supposed to be much better. But, but thank you so much for all that you have done. I'm going to warn you right now, I am going to say everything that I want to about Logan Bailey. And when we're finished, I want you to stand up and do the same after our scheduled speakers. I'm going to start today by telling you about her cancer journey. We made so many close friends throughout these past 4 years. I had forgotten that many of you didn't know the story of her initial diagnosis and had asked about it. So I'm pulling a little bit of a Bags of Fun presentation I made, and I'm going to start with that. In December of 2015, we lost my husband Rick on his birthday to pulmonary embolisms. Just as we were starting to pick up the pieces and move forward with our lives, Logan was diagnosed with osteosarcoma that originated in her right femur and had metastasized to both lungs in February 2017. Our kids were always active in sports. Logan played club soccer, basketball, and took taekwondo with Garrett. When she complained about her knee hurting, I just assumed it was a pulled muscle or growing pains. Finally, she fell in PE, so I took her to our pediatrician. He was instantly concerned. After her x-ray, I was called into the lab. He was on the phone and said he was certain that Logan had cancer, and he would be calling an oncologist at Children's Mercy immediately. That was late on a Monday. Tuesday, Logan had an MRI on her leg. Before she was out, Dr. Hayes, our first reader at Logan's funeral mass this morning, called me and said that Logan definitely had bone cancer. Thursday, we met our oncology team. Dr. Hayes focused on two things. She said that Logan would probably lose her leg and discussed leg preservation options with us. The next Tuesday, we met her leg surgeon at KU, Dr. Harold Rosenthal. The first thing he said was that he could save her leg. He would do a partial femur and knee replacement because she was almost full grown. We went from there to a KU fertility specialist, where we were told about the egg preservation process and the cost. $5,000 due up front, not covered by insurance. When she asked when we wanted to start, I replied, today. She looked surprised, but the timing was right. Logan and I left that appointment with a bag full of needles and hormones that I had to inject into her stomach nightly. For the next 10 days, I injected huge doses of hormones into my 14-year-old and took her back to the specialist every couple days to make sure it was progressing as expected. I am an accountant and project manager. I was clueless about using needles. The following Thursday, Logan had a full body scan that showed 9 tumors in her lung. We were devastated. Friday morning, Logan had her egg preservation procedure at KU at 7:30 a.m., port placement surgery at Children's Mercy at noon, and started her first chemo treatment at 3:30. 18 days from diagnosis to start of treatment. From February to May of 2017, Logan had 7 rounds of chemo, and we spent around 21 nights in the hospital. This was in the middle of flu season. Visitors ages 13 and under were not allowed at Children's Mercy. Garrett was 12 and had to stay with friends. He never got to see what his sister was going through in the hospital until that ban was lifted in May. Also in May, Logan had a partial femur and knee replacement surgery. This was followed by more chemo for the rest of the year, with lung surgeries in October and November at KU, where Logan had around 40% of her lungs removed. She completed her initial treatment plan in December 2017. We spent a little over 100 nights in the hospital that year. I naively thought that Logan was going to be the poster child for kicking cancer's ass, even though the odds were not good. We expected 1 to 2 possible tumors at some point, but she had gone through everything so well that a little more to deal with just seemed manageable. She had clear scans for 6 months and looked amazing. Then, in June 2018, they found 13 tumors in Logan's lungs and 1 in her left humerus. She started even more aggressive chemo that next week. That consisted of 8 rounds of 5 hours of chemo a day for 5 days. 25 hours of chemo each round with 6 nights in the hospital. This chemo made her so sick that she refused to eat during the entire hospital stays and developed neuropathy. It was horrible. In January 2019, it was decided that the chemo was starting to cause more harmful side effects than doing good, and we stopped. Logan was given less than 6 months to live. At the same time, her lung surgeon at KU was talking to his peer at MD Anderson in Houston. Dr. Proportion felt that he could buy Logan more time. He just needed Children's Mercy to slow down her cancer progression and have the tumor removed in her arm before he performed what we expected to be 2 major lung surgeries in Houston. Logan started outpatient chemo immediately. Outpatient does not equal easy. For one of her hour-long infusions, we wrapped her hands and feet in ice to keep her from breaking out in a rash or blisters. Dr. Rosenthal at KU removed the tumors in her arm in May. Logan had 5 tumors removed from her right lung on August 13th at MD Anderson. Then she had a cryoablation procedure on her left lung, where a tumor was frozen and destroyed. In January 2020, Logan had a great scan and everyone was thrilled. 2 months later, both lungs were full of tumors again, and she had to have 2 liters of fluid removed from her lungs. We were told Logan had less than 3 months to live. There was a potential trial at MD Anderson, but the coronavirus had just hit the U.S., so the trial had been put on hold. Miraculously, Logan once again stabilized, and we were able to get her into a natural killer cells trial that fall in Houston. While the trial did not help improve her situation, we did learn of another protocol to try, which bought Logan more time. We had just gotten back from an amazing spring vacation in Florida over Easter this April, hanging out on the beach, fishing, kayaking with dolphins, and came home and Logan had a seizure. They never expected her to leave the hospital, but I took Logan home the next morning. She refused to stop treatment, so we resumed her outpatient chemo the next day. This was followed by 3 radiation blasts on her brain, where it had spread. Logan's oncologist had warned me to take anxiety meds with us for her. A specially made mask had to be molded for her head. Logan never complained about any of this. For each of those treatments, she would lay on a table. They would put a mask over her head, and it would be bolted down to the table for the radiation. Logan never complained. She said it didn't bother her. Amazingly, her nurse, Sarah, for this treatment, had also been Logan's nurse at Children's Mercy when she was first diagnosed. The assisting doctor walked in and said, "Logan, I feel like I already know you." He did. I had his wife's cell phone number in my phone. Dr. Stepp's son, Jonathan, a former Shawnee Mission East student, also had osteosarcoma in high school and wrote a book about his journey. Friends had given us his book and introduced me to his wife. She kept up regularly with Logan's journey and had shared it with her husband. We could not have been shown more love and care than what Logan received from her team there and at Children's Mercy. For each radiation treatment, they asked what she liked to listen to and had podcasts from her favorite site ready for her as she waited for the radiation treatments. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Logan's body really started failing her. Garrett's 2 best friends, Harry and Raiden, and one of Logan's best friends, Colton, basically set up vigil at our house every night for 2 weeks. She barely remembered her oncology team coming to bring her birthday presents. Yet even through all of this, we made amazing memories, and Logan refused to give up. Her reflexologist and massage therapists, Karen and Timmy, worked on Logan at least 2 to 3 times per week at our house. It was amazing how much their gift of touch comforted Logan. Roy, the musician who just played at our funeral mass and Logan's guitar teacher, visited weekly and played for her. Camp Quality wanted to give her a special graduation ceremony before their regular session started in June. I had to explain that I was too afraid to even mention it to Logan because she would have been very upset with me for thinking that she might not live until camp in June. When I asked Logan about camp, she just said she was going to try to do as many of the virtual activities as possible. There was only one time during these past 2 months when Logan really got mad at me. After all of her lung surgeries, Logan had less than 40% of her lungs to breathe with and was finally on oxygen. Had it not been for playing wind instruments for so many years, she would have never lasted this long. Breathing was easier when she sat up, so I ordered a twin bed from hospice with a lift. We had talked about it in advance, and I knew she wasn't happy, but it was something I needed to have available for her. After walking past it for the first time, Logan had Garrett go get a birthday gift she had given him. Remember those big red easy buttons from one of those supply store commercials? Logan had gotten Garrett a slightly different version of that. She hit it hard 4 times in a row to let me know exactly what she thought of the bed. This one was a bullshit button, yelling various versions of, "This is bullshit to infinity and beyond. This is bullshit beyond recognition." 4 times she pounded on that thing. Clearly, there were still some of her stubborn daddy in our daughter. We knew last week that Logan's time on this earth was quickly coming to an end. Wednesday morning, she woke me at 4:40 a.m. I crawled into bed to see what she wanted. Logan said, "I'm not going to make it." I replied, "I know. It's okay. I love you." And I held her as she went back to sleep. At that point, she started going into a deep sleep. Yet, as Roy was leaving that afternoon, after dropping off flowers and talking to her for a minute, she threw her arms wide open and yelled, "Wait!" She wanted to give him a hug and tell him how much she loved him. She constantly thought about others and wanted to have that human connection and human touch with them until the very end. Her breathing became much worse that night, and we knew she might not make it to morning. I laid in my bed, counting the seconds between each of her breaths. After giving her meds at 4:30 a.m. Thursday morning, I dozed off for just a few minutes. When I woke at 4:50, the house was quiet. I knew Logan was gone. It had been exactly 24 hours since she told me that she was not going to make it. Each morning, we would lay in her bed, talking or watching TV. Of course, our pug Eva had to be right there in bed with us. After she passed, Logan looked so peaceful, it was just as she was asleep. Eva cried, wanting to be in bed with her, so I lifted her up and put her on the bed. Eva walked right up Logan's body to her face, as she had done every day, gave her a bunch of kisses, and sat in Logan's lap until her body was taken away. Logan gave her body to the National Donor Program. Now, I would like to introduce Bridget Cotter, Mrs. Cotter, to all of us from St. Anne's School. She was Logan's second grade teacher and has graciously offered to speak today.
August 2010, 17 second graders walked into my classroom. One of those children was Logan, a beautiful little girl, sweet smile, quiet, and perfect penmanship. I still remember those things about Logan, but I, like all others who were blessed to know her, will most remember the love, joy, grace, hope, compassion, and strength that she modeled every day. That second grade year, Logan shared her great love of her family, her sister Bree, Joe, Garrett, Mom, Dad, and her adored dog, Eva. As a second grade teacher, there were times that I might have made a reference or what I thought was a joke and would see it go right over the heads of everyone in the class, but never Logan. I would look to her and she would give me a knowing smile. It was then that I knew that she was wise beyond her years. Not only wise beyond her years, but such a gentle, knowing soul. Logan intuitively saw the needs of others, whether it was a classmate who she could tell needed an encouraging word, or someone on the playground who needed a friend. She was naturally drawn to them, a caretaker of all. She took joy in others' joy and stood with them when needed. My family still makes the Lowrey family secret dill snack mix from the recipe that she shared with me. With friends Savannah, Mason, and Haley, she enjoyed a date on the plaza with me, finishing off a Winstead skyscraper and a walk around the plaza lights. Logan valued and nurtured her friends and her teacher too. The year Logan was in my classroom, I lost my sister to brain cancer. It was a sweet note and drawing from Logan that gave me comfort at that time. A second grader, wise beyond her years, always seeing the needs of others, who reminded me that my sister wasn't in pain anymore and that I would see her again in heaven. There are so many people, many that we might never know, who are touched and inspired by Logan. She embodied faith, love, joy, grace, hope, compassion, and strength every day. I am certain that I, and all that were fortunate to know and love Logan, will carry her in our hearts and remember with great joy this extraordinary young woman and the life that she lived.
Next, we have Alex Teffer, Shawnee Mission Band Director and one of Logan's biggest supporters since her initial diagnosis. I could have never pulled today off without Alex, but this is just one of many things that he has done for our family. Alex?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alex Tepfer. I'm the band director at Shawnee Mission East. I've had the privilege of teaching Logan since 8th grade. I taught at Indian Hills and then all 4 years at Shawnee Mission East. As an educator who teaches an elective in the performing arts, I have a unique opportunity to develop long and meaningful relationships with students, more often than not spanning several years. I get to teach students something that they choose, something that they love, or at the very least, gives them a break from the stress of their core classes and gives them a chance to play music together. But it's so much more than that. We make music together in parades, concert halls, stadiums, arenas across the city, across the country, even across the globe. We bond at car wash fundraisers, band camp socials, cookouts in the parking lots of marching band competitions, bumpy yellow school bus rides to and from games, and we share in the misery of marching in polyester band uniforms in 100-degree heat. The relationships we make are lifelong. Two of the best friends in my life, who are not my wife, I met over 25 years ago in middle school band. I met my wife, Alyssa, on a college band trip. My high school band director was one of the few teachers I invited to my wedding. I know students in this room who met their high school sweethearts in band, and students who found their people, their family in band. And I know they will invite me to their weddings someday. We are family. One of the many definitions of family reads, a group of people united by certain convictions or a common affiliation, fellowship. Our students sometimes joke about band mom and band dad in reference to Miss Babcock and I. But in some cases we do. We spend more time with them than some of their own families. It's a heavy responsibility and an absolute honor to lead this family. Logan certainly understood this, and more than a few times referred to the band as her extended family, her band family, and that's why I'm here today. As I was preparing this speech, I went to my inbox and I found emails that Logan sent me even before her diagnosis. In late 2016, early 2017, we had regular playing tests in 8th grade band where students submitted videos of themselves performing exercises and assignments. She would make little comments like, please disregard my annoying brother in the background, or sorry about the pug barking in the background. Eva was a star even back then. Just little things that would make me smile, you know. Occasionally she would send me emails where she talked about how amazing the high school band sounded at the football games and how she couldn't wait to be a member. When she got sick, she reminded me often that high school band was going to be her #1 priority, and that she would do her best to be at every practice and every performance, whether she could play physically or not. She would ask me for extra music. She'd come up with fun and silly ideas to stay motivated when she was in the hospital. She even FaceTimed with us, with the 8th grade band, while she was at Children's Mercy, long before any of us knew what virtual band would be. At the end of each one of her emails, she would say some variation of no excuses, no sympathy, no special treatment, and then she would attach a YouTube link to one of her favorite songs. Logan's selflessness, drive, and her passion continued on into high school. She was involved in the marching band, the concert band, the symphonic band, the pep band, as well as the Blue Notes Jazz Ensemble and the Blue Knights Jazz Ensemble. Her passion for music and her will to push through her illness was evident every day. Nurses and doctors at Children's Mercy would rush her through chemotherapies just so she could participate in activities like group pictures, car wash, concerts, even just 7 a.m. marching band rehearsals. I'll never forget the summer of 2019 when she was going through some of her hardest treatments. She would have days of intensive inpatient chemotherapy treatment that ended on the weekend, late, maybe even Sunday night. And yet on Monday morning, 7 a.m. marching band, she was there. She was ready to go. She always asked for audition music early so she could budget her time effectively. My students all know that sometimes I get sidetracked with a funny story or anecdote or the latest SME band meme or whatever it is. But Logan was always kind. She put up with my bad jokes, but she was always there to remind me to get the show on the road. Although her illness was more consuming than any of us will probably ever encounter, I never heard her complain. In fact, she went out of her way to help her classmates. As a section leader in the marching band, she helped underclassmen feel welcome and find their way. She would help her section mates with difficult music, offer rides to events, sit by freshmen at lunch, help friends with personal issues in their own lives. Last fall, before her Houston experimental trial, she was on the phone with one of her friends trying to help her get the music right for an audition. When school resumed in person this spring, Logan came to band class several times. She'd be pale, exhausted, out of breath, just simply walking to class. but she was set up with her saxophone and ready to go before most of the other kids were. I'd offer her a softer chair, or, hey, if you need to go sit in my office and take a break, if you need to, that's fine. She'd say, no excuses, no sympathy, let's just play. Logan's love of band and her love of her band family was evident in the entire community. In the fall of 2018, I was approached by the chief elf of the Elves of Christmas Present, who had heard about Logan's story through Children's Mercy, and he wanted to do something special for her. As many of you know, that year we traveled to Italy, and we performed in the Rome New Year's Parade and Festival, and due to the difficulties of her illness, Logan wasn't able to go. The elves put together an amazing package for Logan and her family to fly to Pasadena, California to watch the Rose Bowl parade in person, VIP access to the parade, the bowl game, and a chance to meet fellow cancer patients and survivors. As amazing as that experience was, though, it was the delivery of that gift that Logan cherished the most. It was delivered by a huge number of Lancer band members who marched from the village shops, Upper Street, to her house on Christmas Eve to deliver the package. It was a miraculous moment. And all it took for me was one email to the band families saying, hey, I know it's like Christmas Eve, or the day before, I think it was, but what do you think about doing this parade? What if we marched up the street and delivered this to Logan? And 150 people showed up. It was amazing, amazing experience. It was truly an unforgettable moment that speaks to the generosity of spirit of our band family and our community. Just this past fall, Logan was crowned homecoming queen. In one of her notes to me, Gina said, I still want to know how Alex got Logan crowned homecoming queen. I didn't. I had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Logan was beloved by everybody. She got herself crowned homecoming queen. We had a big cheering section in the band, but I think other than that, it was all her. Lastly, we have an award that we give out at our annual banquet called the Esprit de Corps Award, whose definition reads, the common spirit existing in the members of a group and inspiring enthusiasm, devotion, and strong regard for the honor of the group. It's awarded to students who exemplify these ideals and recognizes students who excel not only in band, but as upstanding members of our band family. Logan received this award just this past year, and from now on, we'll be renaming it the Logan Lowrey Spirit Award. Logan's legacy will live on. As time goes on, we'll move forward and we'll go our separate ways, but Logan will always be with us. Thank you all.
I know I'm going to upset a few people by this next introduction, but it's how I have her in my phone, so I'm going to say it. Chris Klotz, Logan's favorite Children's Mercy nurse and camp quality nurse, will talk for a few minutes about those two topics for us.
I knew I should have asked you to go first. My name is Chris, and I'm an oncology nurse. I had the pleasure of meeting Logan about 4 years ago in the Emont Clinic at Children's Mercy Hospital. She was 14 at the time, and coming to us with the new diagnosis of osteosarcoma. The journey ahead of her was long and difficult, including countless numbers of surgeries, lengthy stays, hundreds of outpatient chemotherapies. For more than 4 years, I had the privilege of walking beside her as her primary nurse. Gina asked me to share today a few stories and memories related to her time at CMH and at Camp Quality. There's so many stories, too many to count. I thought there'd be no better way than to gather a few of them from some of Logan's favorite people. I start with a few memories from the Hemont Clinic. Logan spent endless hours in the clinic, countless amount of appointments. Though she hated it there at times, she truly loved being with her people. She had a great deal of faith and love for her primary team, including Dr. Hayes, Nurse Jen, social worker Sarah, and myself. She loved the staff. She'd go out of her way to find you just to give you a smile or a hug, or just tell you a story. Nurse Mary was one of those nurses that she loved. Mary loved spending time with Logan and had this to say. Logan was the type of girl, when you saw her smiling face walk through the door, you wanted to grab a hug, see how she was doing, ask about her latest book, find out about her next adventure. She touched my heart. I loved her stories about wayside waifs, fostering dogs, bear hunting, band concerts, learning to play the guitar, and family vacations. I myself spent many hours at Logan's side during her treatment visits. My absolute favorite moments with her were the quiet ones. Logan would often be sitting or lying with her eyes closed, seemingly asleep. I tried to move slowly and quietly so as not to disturb her. She would surprise me often by reaching out, touching me lightly, or grabbing or squeezing my hand. She'd just want me to sit with her in her stillness. As a caregiver, these moments were the most meaningful and so profound. No words were needed. Logan also spent a great deal of time as an inpatient at CMH. She spent many nights on Fort Hinson, where she received long chemotherapy infusions and treatments. I found that she impacted the staff on Fort Hinson just as profoundly as she did those of us in the clinic. One of Logan's favorites was John. John, where are you? Hi, John. I asked John to share some of his favorite memories, and this is what he said. It's hard for me to put into words the impact Logan had on me, as I believe you only come across people like Logan a few times in your life. Logan was one of the first patients I ever took care of as a nurse on my own after orientation. Many nights I felt like I had no idea what I was doing. When I'd take care of Logan, I would chat with her when I could for the early part of the shift, and then she'd go to bed. Many times I'd come in after she was asleep, and she'd written me a note on a paper towel saying things like, "You're doing a great job, John." "You're the best nurse ever, John," which meant so much to me as a young nurse when I felt like I was failing. It's funny how the roles were reversed at times. Logan always had an encouraging word for me during those times when I was still learning. John also says, I'll never forget the nights where Logan couldn't sleep. We would just chat about life and her family and her dreams. We both shared the grief of losing a parent at a young age, and we would talk about our feelings or our questions regarding that. Logan had profound wisdom on life and a special understanding of the importance of family and friends. Logan was a very special person, kind, polite, and caring. Thank you, John. The last group of stories come from the staff at Camp Quality. First off, I must tell you, Logan had no interest at all in going to camp. It took a lot of convincing from myself and the other camp nurses and staff to get Logan even halfway interested. Funny enough, convincing Logan was the easy part. Now we had to convince Mama Gina that it was perfectly fine that her baby girl, who had just had major leg surgery and was supposed to be non-weight bearing for 6 weeks, it'd be fine spending 6 days and nights at a summer camp 3 hours from home. It'd be fine. Well, we got her there, and she loved it. One of Logan's companions, Anna, where are you? Hey, Anna. She describes it like this. Some of Logan's favorite parts of camp were fishing, riding the motorcycle, She loved Archie, one of the bikers who brought his motorcycle. Horseback riding, decorating the golf cart. I loved all the connections she made that you wouldn't expect, like Archie. She could just tell you had a good heart, but she didn't just learn people's names. She always asked more questions to genuinely get to know more about people. It was never just superficial small talk with Logan. One of the things Logan looked forward to the most each day at camp was getting to send flowers to all her friends with heartfelt notes to let them know what they meant to her. She was always thinking of other people before herself. She also says this: every time I talked to Logan, there was laughter. Her strength throughout the last 4 years is more than anyone can ever expect of a person, let alone a teenager. Through all the crap she was going through, she was never once rude to anyone, except maybe Garrett, and never took it out on anyone else. Never wanted to throw herself a pity party. I've truly never met anyone like Logan, and I cannot express enough how grateful I am to have gotten to form a bond with her. Her light, her smile, her laugh, her soul, her sense of humor, her kindness and her love will stick with me for the rest of my life. Rest in peace, Logan. Thank you, Emma. Before wrapping it up, I have one more story, and it's my favorite. My absolute favorite memory took place at Camp Quality in the summer of 2019. It had little to do with the craziness of camp and everything to do with Logan's beautiful spirit. In order to tell the story, I had to go back a little bit and tell you that Logan had met a young man by the name of Gavin. He was also receiving treatment for bone cancer at Children's Mercy Hospital. They became fast friends and formed a strong special bond that only two teenagers in the thick of battling cancer could comprehend. Logan and Gavin had so much in common, and among these was their love for Camp Quality. They'd often talk about how excited they were and couldn't wait for camp that coming summer. Unfortunately, Gavin passed away in March, and it wasn't meant to be. Logan mentioned to me not long after Gavin's passing that she really wanted to do something special at camp that summer in Gavin's memory. We tossed around a few ideas, but the idea she loved most was of planting a tree on the campgrounds. She expressed she wanted something that reflected Gavin's spirit and would be right there at camp year after year. Logan went to work in her quiet way to make things happen. She reached out to Gabe, the camp director, pitched her idea. He loved it. Unfortunately, he was unable to get approval by the campground directors. It seemed as if Logan would have to come up with an alternate plan for honoring her friend. Now, this is where the story gets a little fuzzy. There's some facts missing. I don't know where they are. You can only imagine my surprise when I arrived at camp on day one and saw the most beautiful 8-foot tree standing profoundly behind the registration table, ready to be planted. I was blown away. Logan did it. I can't tell you to this day how she pulled it off. Somehow she convinced the powers that be that planting that tree was of utmost importance. A few days later, during a small quiet ceremony, Gavin's tree was planted right in the middle of the prettiest meadow. Gavin's memorial tree had found its permanent home at Camp Quality, just as Logan had dreamed. Logan Lowrey was an absolutely amazing young lady. I don't have to tell you that. She impacted so many with her quiet, graceful spirit. I am blessed to have known her and cared for her, and I will miss her dearly. Love you, Logan.
I hate surprises almost as much as Logan. And I was doing really good today until Anna shows up before Mass, and then I kind of lost it. So I got to tell you a little bit about Anna. Anna she was a KU student, nursing student, and it was her first year at Camp Quality. And she and Logan hooked up, and it was so much more than just a camp friendship. She brought friends over to Children's Mercy. They did crafts with Logan. They hung out with Logan. When I needed somebody to stay with Garrett one week, Anna and her roommates took turns staying with Garrett. She took Logan to the pet store to play with the pets, the dogs. Logan went to her house to help decorate at Christmas. We went to her pinning ceremony. Then, when she had to serve in the Air Force and was stationed in Biloxi, and we went to Destin, Florida, Anna came to Florida and met us and spent a weekend. Went out on a pontoon with Todd, who's going to speak next. And last year, when we were in Houston for the trial, Anna loaded up a dog, a puppy, and a boyfriend, and drove 6 hours to spend the weekend with us in Houston because she knew that Logan needed her and those animals. That is the kind of friendship that is made at Camp Quality. It blew us away. So, if you haven't grabbed a tissue yet, you really need to just get ready now. Todd Luster's wife, Lucretia, was one of my childhood friends. She passed away a few months before Rick. The kids and I have stayed in touch with Todd. He is a blogger, a writer, and an amazing speaker. Just a few weeks ago, Todd came up from Florida to see Logan. They had an amazing 2-hour-plus discussion about deeper topics than many of us will ever have in our lives. He wrote the piece that we used on both of Logan's programs. Here's Todd.
No pressure. Hey. So, you hear me okay? Yeah? Everybody hear me all right? Just checking. This thing on? First time I heard, well, let's backtrack this just a little bit. So me and Lucy are dating, just started. She got a call from Gina. Hey, you come over and help serve wine at this reception? Of course, Lucy's like, well, yeah, sure, we'll be there. So she asked me to help because I know a little bit about wine, and that was my introduction to Gina and Rick. And then, not too long after that, Lucy gets a call or something, talking to somebody. She goes, you're not going to believe this. I said, what's that? Gina's pregnant. What? Gina said she will never have any kids. Well, life can surprise you. That's a fact. I'm going to share a few things with you. Nothing terribly deep and profound as other people may purport. Let's get to it. I'm very disorganized, so my apologies. First thing I'm going to share with you is a little poem that I shared with Gina and Logan, and Ash was there. And it's one of my personal favorites. It's by Louise Eldrick from The Painted Drum, a book that she wrote. And Logan loved it. Life will break you. Nobody can protect you from that, and being alone won't either, for solitude will also break you with its yearning. You have to love. You have to feel. It is the reason you are here on earth. You have to risk your heart. You are here to be swallowed up. And when it happens that you are broken, or betrayed, or left, or hurt, or death brushes too near. Let yourself sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples falling all around you in heaps, wasting their sweetness. And tell yourself you tasted as many as you could. So let's talk about Logan and apples. I shared this story here a while back. So as she mentioned that they came down on a pontoon. That's something we do every summer when they came down to see us. We go out on the water, kick around, right? One particular year we were out there and Lucretia, she wasn't a very good swimmer and we were in a particularly deep part of the water. And so she's hanging on to me for dear life and but we had a good time, that kind of stuff. But the current can be difficult at times. Fast forward, 6 years probably? Logan, we're out on this damn boat. 2 days out of chemo. She's been fighting this thing for going on 2.5 years now. And she wants to get in the water. This can only be good for me. She's wearing this little black bikini. And it wasn't particularly unmodest, it was a regular bikini. And she's full grown, all right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, how strong is she? Everybody been on a pontoon before? You know, those crappy little ladders, right? Even under the best circumstances, they're unreliable, right? So I'm thinking, if she gets in the water, what if she can't get out? She's going to be wet, she's going to be slippery, and there ain't nothing to grab onto. Nothing. So Garrett's a little guy, he's only 14, he wasn't quite the statuesque young man he is today. Gina's Gina, so I'm thinking, well, who's getting short straw to get in the water? That would be me. And so for the next 10 minutes when she's frolicking in the water, 2 days out of chemo, and she just arrived in Florida the day before, I'm thinking, okay, how are we going to do this? Well, I guess we're going to find out here pretty quick. Well, luckily for me, she was able to get back in the boat. So I was very thankful for that. That's the most nervous she ever made me for her whole life. Not when she was going through the surgeries, not when 6 months to live, 3 months to live. That was the most nervous I ever was. And I sweated hard for about 10 minutes. Yeah, it just would not have been good. So, any readers in here? Anybody like to read books? Yes, 1 or 2 of you? Okay. Well, I was going to do 5 books that Logan has read over the last year, but I narrowed it down to 12. So, here's a few of them. If you want to know about these, I'll be more than happy to give them to you. Florence of Arabia, Boomsday by Christopher Buckley, which was, to my knowledge, the last book that she was reading. Dune by Frank Herbert. The Witcher book series she was looking forward to. Anybody read Murakami? She loved him. He's awesome. That's one of the books that she read. Christmas, The Stupidest Angel by Chris Moore. Why Buddhism is True by Robert Wright. The Poisoner's Handbook by Deborah Drum, which is a peculiar book. Kefka, On the Shore. And if you haven't read The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch, I cannot recommend that enough. It is just almost life-changing in some ways. It is extraordinary, just like Logan. Lord of the Rings, and probably, to my knowledge, one of her favorite book series, the James Herriot, All Creatures Great and Small, All Things Wise and Wonderful, All Things Bright and Beautiful. Get a chance to read any of those, it'll give you a good taste of who Logan was. And what else am I going to talk about? I'm debating, when I lost my wife, you look for solace in things, and I'm sure some of you will be looking for solace over the next days, weeks, months ahead. And this particular poem has helped me find a lot of solace over the years. And if I could bring it up here, I will share it with you. I went to print stuff at the hotel this morning, and as those things often work, more often than not, it did not. So I'm stuck with my phone, and my apologies. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I, you are you. The old life we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by the old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference in your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnness or sorrow. Laugh as we've always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There's absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you for an interval somewhere very near. Just around the corner, all is well. The last thing I'm going to share with you, it's kind of a story, sort of. Not about me, but, here we go. A farmer had a son and a horse, and he was out working one day, and the horse ran away, and the villagers say, "Oh my gosh, it's terrible. The horse ran away. What are you going to do?" He goes, "I don't know. We'll see." The next day, the horse comes back, has 2 horses with it. And the villager's like, "Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. What are you going to do?" "I don't know. We'll see." Next week, his son is out trying to break one of the horses. Falls and breaks his arm. The villagers are like, "Oh no, your son's hurt. What are you going to do? You won't be able to farm now." He goes, "I don't know. We'll see." A few weeks later, the army comes recruiting young men for its forces. Well, the boy's got a broken arm, so he can't go. And the villagers are like, "Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. You'll be able to keep your son. Isn't that great?" He goes, "I don't know. We'll see." My last thought for you is this. You have apples all around you. How many have you tasted? We'll see. Thank you, and God bless.
Ashley Lipke is a close family friend and an RN who greatly helped me before and after Logan's recent seizure. She's going to talk about several aspects of Logan's personality and her calling to volunteer at Wayside Waifs.
I am a family friend, but I'm also a nurse. As Logan's health declined and she was put on hospice, I offered my services. I thought I could maybe give Gina and Garrett some time to rest while I cared for Logan. In the 25 plus years that I've spent as a nurse, I've had patients who have made impact on my life, but none more than Logan. As I look around the room, I see that she's had an impact on all of you as well. I'd like to share how her life impacted mine and challenge us all to live, serve, love, and leave a legacy like Logan. We should all live like Logan. Logan was selfless. She was more concerned about others than herself, even her caregivers. This was evident as we transitioned from friend mode to nurse and patient mode. As I helped her get up to go to the bathroom for the first time, she looked at me and said, "Is this too weird for you?" She was more concerned about my comfort level than her own. She never lost her sense of humor, though. One day I texted her to ask if there was anything specific that she wanted me to pray about. She responded, "Just a cure and really amazing healthy hair." She never complained, not once. She had a gentle spirit. She was grit, and she was grace. We should all serve like Logan. Logan began volunteering in January of 2020 at Wayside Waifs. She started as a dog walker and eventually trained in canine enrichment. She handed out treats and toys to the dogs. She moved on to in-kennel socialization and would spend one time with the dogs. She learned their temperament and their personality traits. The staff at Wayside Waifs enjoyed her sweet and entertaining write-ups about the dogs that she visited. She received a shout out from the staff in the form of a kudos card for her descriptive and helpful assessments. She soon became part of the animal marketing team, and she used her writing talents to create animal bios for the website to place available dogs into their forever homes. She had a unique way of capturing each dog's personality. Logan went on to even foster dogs in her home. She would FaceTime me and my 13-year-old daughter, Kate, and it wasn't long before Kate was saying that we needed to serve like Logan. So here I am, 8 foster dogs later. We should all love like Logan. I had the honor of getting to watch Logan interact with Garrett and her closest friends in the last few weeks of her life. To say that they have chosen their friends wisely is an understatement. They laughed with her, they climbed in bed with her, they took naps with her, they watched movies with her. Katie, Colton, Harry, and Raiden, your friendship was something special. The love that she had for you all and Garrett was palpable. She trusted you, and she leaned on you. When I counsel my own kids about the friends that I hope that they find, you're it. And when I counsel them about the kind of friend that I want them to be, you're it. Proverbs 27:9 says that a sweet friendship refreshes the soul. And your friendship is evidence of this truth, and she loved you dearly. We should all leave a legacy like Logan. As a nurse, my primary goal was ensuring that Logan was comfortable and free of pain. She knew what her body needed, and she accepted her medicines, but often she had better results from alternative treatments like acupuncture, massage, and essential oils. On a particularly hard day, Gina had Timmy stop by for a massage session. Within moments, Logan's breathing eased, and her muscles relaxed, and she fell asleep. As Logan knew the power of the human touch, and she also loved to serve, she insisted on giving me a hand massage after I'd give her one. It was a humbling moment, and I had to fight off the tears. My last text to Logan was 2 Timothy 4, verse 7, and I think it sums up her legacy very well. It says, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith.
The last thing that I want to talk about is the Logan Lowrey Memorial Fund that we created so that other kids can experience the many benefits of alternative treatments as Logan did. Her quality of life was significantly improved by using essential oils, acupuncture, massage, reflexology, and more. Not only was she a patient, she did it on us too. She loved it, it helped her, it gave her energy, it gave her life. We were often able to use one of these options in place of additional meds to treat nausea, headaches, and even her neuropathy. As Garrett and I thought about ways to honor Logan, paying it forward by providing these alternative treatments to others became the clear choice. Nobody else is doing anything like this. Garrett even got Logan's approval before she passed away. We will start by distributing small gift bags containing essential oils, information on their use and benefits, Logan's story about how she benefited from all of these, and a way for kids' families to contact us for more information and receive free introductory treatments. Bags of Fun KC has generously agreed to include our gifts in their bags. We also plan to give gift bags to the nurses at Children's Mercy so that they can experience firsthand the benefits of something as simple as a little oil and some human touch. Then they can share those bags with the families in need that they meet. Thank you for all the love and support you have given our family. We have felt truly blessed. A friend recently shared a video from North Carolina State's Jimmy V's ESPY speech. He said that he had tumors running through his entire body and that there was no way he was going to stop talking just because some prompter told him to. We have no prompter and no required time. Please take a moment to come up and share a way that Logan has touched your life, if you would like.
Well, I did have the good fortune to get to know Logan over about a 15-month period. I was unsure about teaching at first, but I learned very quickly that I was getting the best end of the deal because for a few worn-out guitar chords, I got a lesson in just profound graciousness and courage, the likes of which I'd never seen. I was at the house the day before Logan's passing when she hollered wait, and I would clarify Gina's remarks that it was not a request. She made herself very clear. But I went to her and we had a warm moment, and it struck me out of the blue, a realization that in that moment she was not seeking comfort, she was giving it. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Becker Truster. For those of you who don't know me, I was one of the former drum majors over at Shawnee Mission East, and always a Lancer. Now, when I first took up that position as drum major, Mr. Tepfer looked at me and said, well, those kids are going to look up to you, and you need to make sure that they learn everything they can from you and be there for them. And boy, I felt on top of the world. I felt like I knew everything. And that was until I met Logan. I was not prepared to learn as much from somebody as I did from her. And it's a complete role reversal. You go from being drum major all of a sudden, Logan might as well have been my drum major. I learned so many things from her. I had the pleasure to take her to my senior prom. And just seeing the light on her face as we sat and ate spaghetti at some Italian restaurant that Aaron knows the name of, I can't remember it, and the conversation that we had deep into the night, and the moments that we spent dancing on the dance floor, I knew that Logan was someone special. When I was a little bit younger, I was given the printout of a poem that Teddy Roosevelt wrote called The Man in the Arena. I was given this to another friend who's since passed named Rich Nitch. I carried it in my wallet every day from 8th grade up until my junior year. There came a day when we were passing on notes to Logan and writing messages of support. I didn't know what to write to her. Then I took out that poem. It was sitting in my pocket and it always sat there, and I didn't write a message. I slipped it in the envelope and wrote it for her. And I have to say that Logan was the man in the arena for me. Her face marred with sweat and dust, somebody who knows the triumph of victory and the horrible loss of defeat. And it's better to be that person than the one who sits on the sidelines and knows neither. She's inspired me to go forth in life and to taste both victory and defeat. And if we believe that here on earth we spend our time to learn how to be good so that we may pass on into heaven someday, I suppose it's only suitable that someone such as Logan spent such a short amount of time here, because she already knew how to be good.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I was one of Logan's friends. Gina, you can't look at me like that. Okay, I wrote a little something. Sorry, 1 second. All right. When Gina told me that there was going to be an open mic today, I knew that I had to come up and talk. But Logan was just too much of a special person to come up here and wing it. So I wrote a little something to share with you all. Logan. When I think of Logan, what comes to mind was a genuine, kind, caring, silly, and most of all selfless, beautiful woman. Some of you are probably wondering why I didn't say brave, strong, or a fighter in that list. And no doubt she was all of those things. But I feel like those are words you use when someone is sick or hurting. And Logan was so much more than that. Her cancer was a part of her journey, but not her whole journey. I remember when I got the call from Logan that she told me that her cancer had come back. And you want to know what she said? She said, "Don't worry about me, I'm going to kick cancer's ass." And she sure did. Even though Logan had this awful diagnosis, she lived as if she didn't. Volunteering, gardening, singing, making beautiful art, and I'll never forget when she asked if she could use my tiny little Razor scooter moped because walking was hard, but that wasn't going to stop her from going to band. She was hands down the most adventurous person I knew. Whether it be bear hunting, that bear over there, she did that. Worlds of fun, taking me to amazing tiger sanctuaries, making Vigo talking bowls and doing therapeutic yoga at Lake Forest, or just a movie night with some arts and crafts. We never failed to find fun and adventure. All courtesy to Logan, of course. We had many fun adventures that I hold near and dear to my heart. But here's what I will always remember. Oh crap. Sorry. She was someone who I could always count on, no matter the time of day or the circumstance, because that's just how she was. She didn't think twice about it. No matter if it was crazy boy talk or things that were heavy on my heart, I could always come to her and not feel judged, because I knew she would tell me what I needed to hear. Yeah, it sometimes wasn't what I wanted to hear, but it's what I needed. Logan was that one friend that I wanted standing as my maid of honor one day. And I know she still will. But maybe just with a better view. Sorry. I didn't have to act a certain way around her. I could just be me, and that is something that is hard to find these days, and I will forever be grateful for that. We both have been through some hard milestones in our lives together. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, that was so good. Okay. We have both been through some hard milestones together in our lives, and I truly don't know where I would be without her. You know how they say that your greatest love doesn't always have to be a partner? Well, I never understood that until now, and I believe she was mine. Now Logan, who inspires so many people and is the definition of a badass, gets to be with her father, watching over all of us with her big, beautiful heart and new set of angel wings. Thanks.
Hello. My name's Brennan Montalbano, and I was a friend of Logan's, and I'm a very good friend of Garrett's. This past weekend and this month and next month is especially difficult for me because last year, 2020, on July 9th, my father, Mark Montalbano, passed away. It's safe to say that my father was the greatest man I will ever meet in my entire life. It is 100% guaranteed that Logan is the greatest woman I will ever meet in my entire existence on God's green earth. Logan had an ear and a spirit that I've never, ever come across. And something you should know about me is that I have moved 11 homes and transferred 8 schools in 3 states. I've met probably hundreds upon thousands of people varying in sizes, ages, and genders, and just crosses of life. And one thing you should know is that calmness, that spirit she had, it was so refreshing because I'm a big worrier. I'm filled with anxiety on a day-to-day basis. And before one of my first marchings in marching band, I was terrified. I was scared, and I remember Logan walking up to me and just talking to me, not about what was going to happen, not about what's going to happen after, what the future's going to bring. She just talked to me. And just that calm spirit, like she knew I was going to do good. I thought I was going to do awful. I thought this was going to blow up in my face. I thought I was going to fall on the ground face first. It was going to be awful. But she just talked about the weather. She talked about what my favorite part of high school was at that moment, and it was amazing. It was something I really needed that day. And on other occasions where I've talked to her, for a kid who's very loud, full of energy, and deals with many upon many internal and external struggles, her spirit still carries on within me. She has affected my life the way no other human being has. 2 Corinthians 4:9 states, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. And I am a firm believer that Logan represented that to the fullest. That when she got knocked down, when cancer returned, when it seemed all was lost, she's like, not this time, not next time. I'm taking it down. I'm taking it down today. Otherwise, it's game over. I will remember Logan for the rest of my life the way I will remember my father for the rest of my life. Logan was the most calm, most precious, and most just utterly amazing woman I've ever met, and maybe even human beings I've ever met in my entire existence. I know that's not a lot because I'm 16, but consider what I've seen, and I only have how many hours to explain my entire life story. It It's a lot. It is amazing. The daughter you raised was worth more than mountains and oceans filled with gold and diamonds. And I hope you know that, because if you don't, you do now. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Maddox. I have known Logan since kindergarten. That's where we met. We actually met here. So this place is filled with a lot of memories from just me knowing her. I decided that I'm going to read a letter that I wrote to her for her 18th birthday. I didn't get to read it myself because I had to be back home for her actual birthday. So I sent it to Gina and Gina read it to her. So this is, I guess, my way of reading it to her right now. So I hope you're listening because it's a pretty good letter if I do say so myself. To Logan. You're a person that I could say a million words to but never get tired of our conversations. At the same time, you're a person who could sit with me completely silent and content. I'm not sure what has taken me so long to come and visit you, but I figured there's no better time than to congratulate you on the big 1-8. I know I'm a few days early, but I work on Friday and Wednesday, so I decided that Monday was the best day. I don't even know where to start with you. Well, maybe I do. I'll always remember you as the girl to whom I whispered, "I think you're pretty," at the lunch tables in kindergarten. Little did I know, the smug and borderline disgusted look you gave me shortly after I confessed my secret would be one that I would learn to love. Fast forward a couple years and a few piano recitals, we were as tight as could be. Not many people can say that they rode the tallest water slide in the world, but you and me can. I'm not gonna lie, we had the weirdest conversations, which I won't get into, but she knows the weird conversations we had. But with the countless amounts of cringeworthy convos, we have double the amount of beautiful memories. You and me could make anything an event. It didn't matter if we were going to a 5 Seconds of Summer concert or Rick was just taking me home. I genuinely don't think we know how to not have fun. But there were times we shared when fun times were put on the back burner. It's no lie that you and I have been through some stuff together. Somehow, though, we always pull through. I'm really grateful for the amount of shaping experiences we've endured together. Where shit hitting the fan would cause people to drift apart, there we were, stronger than ever. And here we are, stronger than we've ever been before. You as a person transcend what it means to be human. You are so much more, and I couldn't love you more if I tried. Happy birthday. Love, Dookie/Ducky/Maddox.
Hello, my name is Raiden Perez, and I know Logan because of Garrett. I moved here in 6th grade, and Garrett and Harry were the first two people that I think I talked to in the school. These two nerds over here were the people that, don't look at me like that, were the people that let me meet Logan, that let me meet somebody who is driven, who is joyous, who wants to complete tasks beyond anything that I'm physically able to comprehend. I am a man with a splattering of hobbies that are all across the board. I tell Logan about all of them, and what she does is, she always asks me when my next project is. She'll come over and do it with me. She has this thirst for knowledge, for to know, to do, to complete, that it blows my mind. I have had many talks with her about things she's wanted to do, about things she wants to do, And it's always kind of nice to find somebody who doesn't understand what you're talking about, but is willing to talk about it with you and wants to learn about it. Garrett and Harry and Gina, you guys are amazing. You guys are the best people that I've ever met here. I loved knowing Logan. It was a pleasure, it was an honor, it was just something that I'm so happy that I got to do. I lost a brother a while ago, but then Logan came around and she was like a sister to me. She was my sister. Garrett and Harry were both my brothers. They were always going on adventures and we always want to do new things, try new food, go to a different place, just have fun. And I want to thank you guys for that. I want to thank Logan for that. Thank you for your time.
I'm not too sure where to begin, but one thing we all know in this room is to know Logan is to love her. And for each of us in this room, we were touched by her, no matter how long or little we knew her. And I wasn't fortunate enough to have all the years some of you had with her, but in the last 6 months, she was a true source of support for me. I had went through a really long year fighting COVID twice and having issues with my heart and lungs. And there's a reason why there are support groups. But through all Logan went through, and even on her hardest days, when she was very ill, she would reach out to me, say, "How are you feeling today? How do your lungs feel?" And the wisdom that she had for someone of only 18 years far surpasses many of us in this room. And it's what made her so unique and so special and so loved. And grief is the price that we pay to love her so fondly. And Logan at times would say things to me, and I want to recite a few of the things she said because they were just so phenomenal and loving. And one day when I wasn't well, she had reached out to me to ask me how I was. And I said, "Logan," I said, "I'm nowhere near in the shape you are. How are you today?" And her selflessness led her to say, "That isn't true. Mine is just more visible than yours." We both knew that was a lie because she had been through everything there was to be through, but it never led her to have a hard heart to others. She was always open and warm and caring and selfless. And at Gina's birthday party, we sat on the couch and we held hands, and I looked at her and I said, "This fall, what do you want to do? What do you want to learn? What do you want to go to college for?" And her answer was nothing short of what I would expect from her, because she looked me in the eyes and she said, "I want to learn everything. I want to know everything there is to know." And that was Logan. That was who she was. And I want to share another story. As I was getting ready to plant my garden, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do it this year. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a chef, so planting my garden is a huge ordeal. It's something I very much look forward to. She said to me, "I'll come plant your garden. I'm free child labor. I'll do whatever you need done. I'll water, I'll plant, I'll dig, and you can rest." This was only a few months ago. And that also was Logan. So I hope that everybody has stories like this in their heart and they think on them and they remember them, and they know how beautiful she was, and they strive to be like her. Because I know there have been days where I have thought, I'm frustrated with my health, and I've looked to Logan, someone 14 years younger than me, to say, what would Logan do? What would she tell me to do today? And I sat in the parking lot, and it was really hard for me to come in here today. And I thought, if Gina can do it, and if Garrett can do it, everybody in this room can do it, I can do it too. And I know Logan would have done it if the roles were reversed. So I hope we can all think to Logan and think in times of hardship, in times where we're frustrated, or times of illness, what would she have done? And remember her for that. Because she was strong, and she was fierce, she was genuine. Thank you.
No, you got it. I've done more than enough speaking today. You go sit down.
Sure. Or you can say next to me. Hi, I'm Garrett Lowrey, and I'm going to keep this short because I feel like I don't really want to set a new record for most people I've cried in front of today. And also, for anyone that knows Logan well enough, they know that she didn't exactly love being the center of attention, so I'm just going to keep this short for her. I first met Logan I feel like I don't have to get into that part. Logan was a great influence on me, and throughout my entire life, she helped mold me as a person. She would probably end up denying that she was all this great stuff because she was very humble and didn't like to brag or talk too much about herself. But Logan was a great person and an even better sister. And throughout all the years, and all the bonding I had with Logan, and all the stuff I bothered her into, and all the times I called her nerd and dweeb, and she put up with me, she was always nice to me, and at the end of the day, she was always my sister, so she was always kind and comforting. And I'm sure Logan appreciates every single person that decided to show up here today, and every single person that has come up to speak, because Logan was a very selfless person. And also, Logan was a great family member. Thank you.
I believe that's it. I want to thank everybody for coming. If you worry about Garrett and I having something to eat, Jennifer takes care of us. She keeps him in burgers all the time and asks every day if we need something, so we're doing okay. But just thank you again from the bottom of our heart. It was wonderful. There were stories I had never heard, things I didn't know, and I really appreciate you sharing that with us and sharing your love of Logan. Thank you.
One last little thing. We're going to play the school song for Logan. So those of you who are Shawnee Mission East people, or even if not, I'd like everybody to stand up and the band will lead you in the school song.